What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Thursday, June 6th, 2024. Once again, it's day one of the NBA Finals. The Dallas Mavericks are taking on the Boston Celtics. Should be a hell of a series between those two teams. I'm looking forward to watching that. Uh, my name, again, is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter based out of Minnesota. I also do this podcast and also a casino host where I like to bring individuals on to talk about their why, not just reporters like myself, but people in all different kind of occupations. This next guest that I have coming on, her name is Nikki Reed. She is a part of the morning radio show, Sunday morning radio show that she does in Indianapolis. She is somebody who is going to talk about her why into radio. We're going to talk about some of her favorite things, maybe some of her favorite episodes and people that she's interviewed. So I'm looking forward to getting to know Nikki. So without any further ado, I introduce you the wonderful, the talented Nikki Reed.
Okay. There we
Hey,
go. Hi.
Nikki.
How are
How we
you?
doing? I'm
I'm
doing
doing
good.
I'm doing well over here too.
Okay. I'm going to just say this off the top. You look absolutely amazing. No question about that.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. First of all, I just want to say thank you for hopping on my podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder. How is your week going so far?
So far so good. We're gearing up here in Indy with my radio station 99.5 WZPL. We're gearing up for Pride. So we've got that big festival coming up this weekend and parades and all that good stuff. And then uh yeah, I think it's been a pretty easy week. It's great weather here.
Absolutely. It's been beautiful here today, too. I'm based out of Minnesota. So it's been beautiful here today as well. Before I start peppering you with all these questions, I just want to reiterate to you why I wanted to bring you on. I'm somebody that did sports radio in college. I love
Mhm.
talking on the radio. I love broadcasting. I love talking to people who are in radio type jobs like yourself. You do the Sunday morning, I believe, or the morning show, 99.5 there in Indianapolis. You're somebody who's been in the radio game. I'm obviously for a long time.
Mhm.
I love talking to people who are likewise. I love talking to people who are in media. I love talking to people who have not just about sports, but also about different genres as well. So I would love to learn about you and learn about your why and get to know you a little bit because, like I said, I love just getting to know people out of their comfort zone, but also in their comfort zone. So, and it seems like you just enjoy doing what you do, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
yeah, very much. Yeah. I grew up in Michigan actually, and
Okay.
I with kind of how I got into radio a little bit. I went to college at the University of Indianapolis. I
Yep.
went on a theater scholarship. I thought I was going to be a Broadway star. But you have
Mm.
to be good at singing and dancing and acting, and it turns out it wasn't any of those. So I I got moved. Hopped onto college TV, and I was
Okay.
okay at that, but not great. I was a little too sassy for that, and my hair color kept changing too much. And I would get the professors would say, if you want to be in TV news, you can't do that, you know. And
Oh,
you
okay.
can't change your hair color. They tell you what to wear and all that kind of stuff, and
Right,
they tell you,
right.
everything's a little bit fake, and not in a bad way, but TV news is very
I
put
know what you're
on, you
talking
know.
about. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had a great professor who was like, how about I just put you in radio? Because I think that's where you fit. And so radio for me was the perfect mesh of being able to perform while being myself and still getting to have a creative outlet that felt like all the things I really wanted in one job.
I love that. I really do. And your hair color is fine. I love that.
Right
It's
now it
very
is.
beautiful. Yes, very beautiful. No question about it.
Thanks.
You mentioned University of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to know, were there any other schools that you were considering going to before you made that your choice?
I'll be honest, it was I was kind of delaying picking a college, and my mom was like, you need to start applying. And so I just applied to that one because I liked the brochure, I liked what I saw. It was a smaller school. And so I
Oh.
applied early admission. And then my mom and I
Mm.
went to go and tour the school, and they handed me my acceptance packet while I was there. Like they hadn't
Okay.
even mailed it out yet. So it was one of those where I just went, okay, I'm in. And so it was the only school I applied to.
I love it. Listen, 1 for 1 is not a bad percentage, Nick, at all.
Right.
That's not a bad percentage at all. I'm
Thanks.
somebody who works with numbers all the time, so I get that. I totally get that. Let me ask you some favorite things, okay?
Yeah.
Uh, what is what is your favorite meal that you like to eat and you like to cook?
I've gotten into cooking a lot recently. I think over the pandemic, it just became something I found a lot of like peace in and I had fun with it.
Yes,
So I really like cooking like pasta from scratch now. I don't make the pasta, but the pasta sauces.
sure.
So that's been kind of a thing where I like roast the tomatoes and I, use tomato paste and make the whole like build the whole thing up. So that's been
Absolutely.
favorite meal and favorite thing to cook.
I love that. I love it. Now, what are we eating with the pasta? Are we eating like any vegetables with it, or are we just eating straight pasta, maybe with some garlic bread, some rolls? What are we eating with the pasta?
Well, like so the I made it earlier, I guess maybe end of last week. I did garlic bread with it and it was I did the thing where you roast the garlic in the oven with olive oil and then so it was like butter and then you mush the garlic onto it and did some like fresh
Ooh,
parsley. I've been growing my own herbs and stuff like that. So,
wow. Okay,
yeah.
that's awesome. That really is. It's
Mhm.
amazing. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Yes. Okay. So Fall Out Boy is my favorite band. I don't know if you're a fan or not, but I'm a big fan.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
so in radio, you get opportunities that you probably wouldn't get otherwise. And so I had an opportunity to go see them, and it was a really small venue here in Indy. I mean, maybe 500 people venue.
Okay.
And so there was a meet and greet before the show, and I went with listeners. And so I got to meet them, which was very exciting. And then it was a general admission show. So it was basically these people had been standing outside forever waiting to be the front row. And
Right.
since they were about to open the doors, they told us, hey, you can just stay. And so I ended up in the middle of the front, holding on to that, the crowd bar for dear life
Yep.
while everyone
Yep.
mushed in around us. And I got to see it all like right in front of my face, which was pretty cool.
Okay. So, are you one of those fans that when you go to the show, like, are you singing every word, yelling to the top of your lungs? Are you one of those fans that's kind of subdued, like you just taking it all in?
For the most part, like if I know it, then I'm bouncing off the walls and I'm going nuts with it.
I
But
love it. I
there are
love it.
times, I mean, I found joy in also going to shows where I don't know any of the music. And
Mhm.
so that's when you'll see me just kind of sitting and enjoying probably.
I love that. I know that's awesome. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Great question. I would say Greece. I
Wow,
went, yeah. My husband and I went for our honeymoon and it was
that's
gorgeous.
awesome.
Yes.
Okay,
It was a really, really great adventure. And we got to do a couple of different islands and stuff like that. And the food, I mean, everything you ate was so fresh and so beautiful tasting. And what I found was interesting was, I think overseas they don't do as much preservatives in the food and stuff like that. So we
sure.
ate our faces off. We had gelato at least twice a day. I mean, we were just gorging and we both lost weight when we were there
Wow.
because it's just like better quality stuff they use. And
Yeah,
so that was kind of
absolutely.
cool.
Absolutely. Congratulations on that. Obviously,
Hey, thanks.
honeymoon in Greece. That's awesome. Two more of the favorites. Now, I am a sports person, so I got to ask you
Yes,
incorporate a sports question.
go
Favorite
for it.
sport you like to watch on TV? Favorite sport you like to go to in person?
Okay, I like to go to hockey in person. I'm,
Oh,
yeah, Michigan girl. So that's always been something that I always like being kind of up against the glass, like punch him in the face, like
I
that
love it.
kind of
Oh, I
thing.
love that. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's a
awesome.
great, we have like a minor league hockey team here. And so the games are great. The Indy Fuel, they're a really good team and it's a lot of fun to watch. And then probably, I mean, football's easy to watch on TV because it's kind of one of those you could watch while kind of being on your phone at the same time. And so it's like the
Sure.
best of both worlds.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to be transparent with you before I get to this last favorite question. So I went to Indianapolis last year for the first time. The Colts were playing the Chargers. I think it was like a Monday night game.
Hmm.
My the Chargers are my team. So
Oh, nice.
I grew up in San Diego, so that's why I was a Charger fan. LT is my favorite player of all time. So went there. Y'all have a juice bar there that's really good, like a certain spot. I forgot what it is, but it's like a smoothie juice spot that's really good in downtown Indianapolis. Um,
Mm.
and I forgot what it is. I really do.
It
But
probably was something on Massachusetts Avenue, if I had to guess. That's where a
it,
lot of really
it
cool.
might have been because I was
Yeah.
staying on East Washington
Yes.
Street. That's where I was staying, and then I
Hmm.
was commuting over to this would be Lucas Oil Field where the game was at, and I stayed there for a couple of days, and I had a pretty good time because I like
It's
to travel. I like to travel.
yeah.
So
And it's
yes,
a really cool city. It was one of those, like, I think I visited for college the first time and I went, I belong here. Like, it's got enough going on. And because we're a big city, we have we host tons of events and conventions. I mean, like the NFL Combine is here. We had some of the, what was it? The NCAA games that come here a lot.
yep,
Right now they're building for the Olympics, swimming trials. They're
yep.
filling Lucas Oil with a pool for
Oh
all the
wow,
swimming trials. So the entire
okay,
Lucas Oil Stadium is going to be a pool, the biggest pool they've ever built inside. I don't know if it's the only one inside a football stadium before, but I mean, it's a really cool city to come and see cool sports stuff.
absolutely. Next year, I'm actually planning on going to the NFL Combine
Oh
because
yeah.
they have like a career fair. So I want to definitely do that and go to that and just see how it is and kind of network with people as well. So next late February, early March, I'll be going there next year for sure.
That's a great
I love
idea.
Indianapolis. I love Indianapolis, no question. Um, this next favorite is favorite restaurant you like to eat at.
Oh goodness. So okay, so there's this wing place in Indianapolis. It's called Keystone Sports Review.
Okay,
And I don't know they just moved into a nicer building, but it used to be like this divey, nasty place where you didn't ask questions, you just ordered the wings. And they were like always huge and the flavors were really good and they made their own ranch and stuff like that. And so it was just there's something about those wings. Like even now I'm having trouble. I'm like watering at the mouth, but
I love that. I love it.
that is
Okay,
great.
okay. So obviously, when I come back down to Indianapolis, I'm gonna have to say hello. I'm gonna have to hit you up. No
For
question.
sure, yeah.
Absolutely. That would be amazing. I want you to talk about your morning show, your
Yeah.
morning radio show, how you prepare for it, how you go about it, your day-to-day basis, and talk about the process, right? Because obviously doing TV and radio is quite different. You get ready, you have to talk a lot. You can't have dead air on the radio,
Mhm.
so it's just one of those things. I'm not sure what time slot you have as far as is it 4 hours every 4 hour
It's
time
5
slot?
hours,
So a five
Monday
hour
through
time
Friday.
slot.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's a lot. So talk
Yeah.
about how you prepare for shows each and every day because every day is different.
Yeah, so for us, we're a big show, and nowadays it's not as common to have what that morning zoo collaborative where there's a lot of people on the show. So we're very lucky in that regard. So kind of the way it's set up, and I kind of do this like the descriptors of each of our characters as it were. We got the host of the show, Dave Smiley. It's the Smiley Morning Show, so his name's on it. And then I'm like the co-host. I do a lot of like interesting history types of stuff or life hacks or kind of like pro women type stuff, like yay, ladies.
Okay.
Then there's
Okay.
Tony. She is more of she does a lot of the work behind the scenes, and anything that we do event wise, it happens because of her. But she's also kind of a mother character and has a lot more of that home family kind of information. And then Will on our show, he is the guy that does the skits, the weird voices, writes songs, all that kind of stuff. So we all each have our place and we've been together for so long. I mean, at least this iteration of the show has been 9 years, something like that.
Oh,
So
awesome.
we know each other so well that we all kind of just know our place and how we fall in line. So we get up in the morning, we have our own daily tasks that we do. I'm do the celebrity gossip stuff, and I do, like I was just working on before we talked, like a pre-produced bit I do every day, interesting stuff, and so we all have our stuff that we do. So we get that all done right when we get there. And then we then start to kind of like Dave, the host, will kind of line up everything to say, I want to do a game for this prize. Hey, could we find a story about this? And then we all kind of just work at the same time in
Okay.
tandem to fill in the rest of the show. So we have a rough idea of what we're going to do every day, but it's not super fleshed out so that we can just go with the flow if something way interesting happens. Like an example is we had a whole show planned out and there was a day in Indianapolis where somebody's pet monkey got loose
Oh
and was
wow.
running around the city. And the police were looking for it, but everybody who had come into contact with this monkey, it was scared, and so it was biting them. So we, as a show, like got our listeners involved, and everyone's trying to track down the monkey, and people are calling like, I think I saw it in this neighborhood, like that. And we like to have a loose enough, schedule so that if something cool happens or we find a cool story, we can just go off the rails and scrap
I love
everything
that.
else.
I love that. That's what's up. On here with Nikki Reed of the morning show, a Smiley morning show based out of
Mhm.
Indianapolis, 99.5 on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. I love asking this next question. It's about advice. What advice would you give someone, Nikki, if they came up to you and said, hey, I would love to be on radio. I would love
Mhm.
to talk. I would love to do what you do. What is some advice that you would give a young lady, young man, just young person in general that wants to do the job that you do?
I would say you need to be okay starting in the middle of nowhere because that tends
Mm,
to be how it happens, right? Nobody walks into the role that I have now. You work very hard in
sure.
small cities
Yes.
until you get to something like this. But the other thing is, say yes to absolutely everything. If they say, hey, we need someone to go and MC this dog costume contest, say yes. Hey, does anyone want to help set up this event? Say yes. And if you are the person, because I think that's what radio, there's so many talented people, but the ones who continue to rise to the top are the ones that are consistently
Mm,
eager and available and interested and hardworking and reliable. Because you can get radio, I always feel like there's like three types of people. There's the nicest people you've ever met that you'll
sure.
love. There are just the you're welcome that I'm here jerks. And there's some weirdos. And so you gotta just go and hope that you find those consistent, smart, funny, talented people that you can continue to count on for
Sure.
even little things that aren't, especially if you want to be on air, you're not going to just be on air. So my career, I did a lot of behind the scenes. I ran other people's shows. I set up events. So by doing that and saying yes to everything, not only are you getting yourself out in the community, so you're building a reputation, which is so important, but then as you do that, other professionals see you and go, that person's something, and they work harder for you to get you your next job and to get you your next job. So you build a group of people who say they're easy to work with, they're talented, you should hire them.
I
So
love that.
yeah.
I do. I love that. I love that explanation. You mentioned it before, but let me ask you about it. What were some of those things that you did in the past, right? That
Yeah.
still kind of stays with you as far as some of the tools that you learned to what you apply to your current job today.
Yeah. So a lot of it, is you want to know the ins and outs of what you're doing as far as the technical stuff goes, the radio board and learning how to edit things and stuff like that. And so when I worked before I worked in some small towns and I got into a big Indianapolis radio station, but just as a producer. So I just pushed buttons and kept shows on time. But doing that made me really good at um I don't know how to say this, but understanding how long a minute is,
Sure.
because I worked on these shows that were down to the second. You had to be off air at, 9:15, 30 and 30 seconds so that you could play
Hmm.
commercials or whatever. And so
Yeah.
you get really good at a sense of time, a sense of how to run things in a quick basis. You know the tech well, you can edit things really well. And so it grows your exterior knowledge so that when you go to do your talent, that kind of stuff is background noise and you're not so focused on hitting the wrong button or all those little things that and then you can be nervous about being on air, but that's the only thing you're nervous about. And so that kind of stuff, and also understanding how events work, because a lot of times as radio stations, they go out in the community, we set up the tables and the prize wheel and stuff like that, and that is your time to basically hustle and network. So every single person that comes up to that table, you're on and you're talking and engaging them. And if they tell you they listen, then you ask them questions. Like I always do this when people say, "Oh, I love your show." I'm like, "What's your favorite like bit that we do?" Or is there something that you like the most about it? And I get that feedback so then I can go, okay, they really like it when we do these things. I hear
Sure.
this is a favorite all the time. And so you're using that time not just to endear yourself to the listeners, but also to, mentally make notes of the things that are working and what they aren't. And you're also meeting your listener because when you're in a
Yeah,
radio
absolutely.
studio, you're talking to a wall. And
Yep.
so when you get out and meet these people, then you have a better picture in your head of who you're talking to, and you can do a better job for them.
I love that. And this was a bonus question that kind of came up in my mind because when I was doing radio in college,
Mhm.
I was with a buddy, and we were doing sports radio. It was hard for me to find my voice at times, right? Because you kind of, when you're working with somebody, you don't want to kind of step on their toes. You don't want them to step on your toes. The flow of the show really matters.
Yes.
Any kind of show that you do, whether it's entertainment, sports, or whatever genre. How long did it take for you to find your voice doing radio?
It was a bit. And I was lucky enough to have some really great professors who at UIndy, the first thing they did was they were like, "You're not doing a cheesy radio voice. Like this isn't the 1950s. You're not gonna talk like that." Like so
Right,
knock
right.
that off because everybody came in with their big radio voice ready to go, and they were like, "No, you have to be a human and just talk to people how you talk and be excited about things you're actually excited about." So when our university station was actually a jazz classical station,
Hmm.
and I came in knowing nothing about any of those things, but with jazz what they kind of told us was find the thing about it that interests you so that when you talk about it, you actually care. And so I was able to go and work, like we would record live jazz concerts at this little place called the Jazz Kitchen in Indy. And you start to get to know the performers and you start to like recognize a little bit about them. So for me, it was like, okay, well, I know who that is. And I did see him play the drums once and he was super like energetic when he does it. So it was like, picking out the things within any subject that was interesting to me so that
Right.
I had genuine enthusiasm. That was one of those big things. And I think the other thing was like it's better to be a little weird and it's better to be a little
Glad you said
like
that. I feel
off the
that. I
beaten
feel that.
path
Hmm.
because that's the stuff that makes you stand out. If you sound
Right.
like everybody else, you're not special. But if you want to talk about dinosaurs way too long, that might be kind of fun,
Right, right, right. And be entertaining about that, right? Like it's
Yeah.
okay to be different. I live by a hashtag. Not to cut you off. Sorry about that,
No,
Nikki.
go. Go ahead.
But my hashtag is DTBD. And people say, why is it DTBD? It's dare to be different.
I
Every
love that.
single day that I wake up, I want to be different. I don't want to be a replica of nobody. I want to be the only Chris Drummond you ever meet in your life. And when you wake up, you want to be the only Nikki Reed. Yes,
Mhm.
your name is common. You're going to meet other Nikki Reeds, but there's no other Nikki Reed that's going to be like you. You should stand out. You should be different. You should be who you are. And I dare to be that as well, whether you're on radio or TV or whatever. I always tell people, dare to be different. Don't worry about being too weird or don't worry about being this or that because people who really rock with you and understand you, they're going to rock with you regardless. And let the
Mhm.
other people just, filter out. And that's just the way it is. So I love that you just said that. It's so awesome that
And
you
you're
just said
exactly right. Like one of the things I'm so grateful for people who are growing up now is,
that. Yeah.
our radio examples were people who were kind of these larger than life, big head type people. And what social media has done and, all of the streaming and all that stuff is it has given younger people like the straight way to just be 100% legit and be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what gets you what you want in life. And so I'm grateful that they don't have to work around that and unlearn the stuff that I did,
Sure.
that they get to just be authentic because that was how they were taught from the internet, essentially.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Great segue to now mental health. And when you do work either sports or radio, I should say, or broadcast or being a reporter, we know that these times are not really business type of times, right? They're not 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 10 to 6s. Whenever you work radio, sometimes you have to do events afterwards. You have to set up, you have to go, you have to meet stuff. But when you do that, you're working very long days.
Yes.
They're unconventional, right? And you just mentioned it. You have a husband, right? You have a family. How do you balance your work-life balance, but also still maintain good mental health so you don't feel like you're burnt out?
Sure. Well, I'm a big proponent of good mental health. I actually just had therapy yesterday, so I feel so zen. Uh,
Okay, I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm with that.
but that's one of those things that I've been fortunate enough to have the ability to do therapy to afford it, and so that's one of those. The
Yeah.
other thing is, you know, I'm lucky enough that the type of work that I do, even though it can be very long days, depending on if there's anything after the show, if you start, you're getting up at 4 a.m. Sometimes you don't go home till 5 if you're doing
Right.
extra stuff. And that's way longer than an 8-hour day. But at the things I'm doing, even if I'm exhausted, I get there and then it's like, okay, well, this isn't hard work. It's fun work. So even if I'm super tired, still being able to talk to somebody or shoot a video or do something like that, like it gives me a little bit of energy as well to kind of get through it. And I feel kind of motivated to go, okay, this is what we like though. So this is going to be okay, even if we're exhausted. With the work, like family balance though, I think I'm still struggling with that a little bit. I went from being completely single to acquiring a husband and 3 stepkids. So that
Mm,
was a massive adjustment.
sure.
And, just considering being the role of a step parent, which is not easily defined and a very difficult role to step into. And
Sure.
then also going from having all my free time to coming home and it's like, oh, they're all here and it's summer break. Like, okay, hi. And then, dealing with kids from there on. And it's a lot.
Yes, it
So
is.
mostly I end up, when on the days that we have his kids, I tend to like cook dinner, get everybody settled, and then I'm like 7:30, I'm up there and I just like, everyone leave me alone. I'm just gonna stare at a wall for like 10 minutes
I
just to be
love that.
quiet
I
and
love it.
sit.
I totally love that because, like you said, and especially with you, I mean, you had a huge transition, like you just mentioned, right? Going from being a bachelor or bachelorette, sorry about that,
No,
and then
that's fine. I can be both.
right to being now, you got a full house. So
Yeah.
I totally understand that, but it's a question that's worth asking because especially with people that graduate from college or people that may been out of college for a few years, they come into this industry of media, whether they want to be on TV or whether they want to be in radio, and sometimes they think they have that glamorized type of lifestyle. And it's
Mhm.
not really a glamorous type of thing. Like people that do this media stuff really love what they do. I
Yeah.
always I always tell the youngins that I cover. I cover high school, 12 high schools, and I cover a college out here in Minnesota.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
Thank you so much. So I tell them all the time, if you want to be in media, think about it like this. If you had enough money in the world to take care of your loved ones and your family, and they asked you to do it for free, would you do it?
Mhm.
And if the answer is no, then that's probably not your passion. It's probably not something that you want to do. Would you still do all of this? Right?
Yeah.
Would you do everything that you want to do? And for me, it's a yes. It's undoubtedly yes. Like I would take it all. I love doing what I do. I love talking to people. I love meeting wonderful people like you. I love doing broadcast, radio, podcast, whatever it is. But it can get tough. You do have those days where sometimes you wake up, Nikki, and you're just not feeling it. It's
Yeah.
just not your day to day, right?
Mhm.
We all have them, and we have to find ways to deal with that. So I love the answer that you said, just by going upstairs and staring at a wall, trying to have some peace and quiet. You may even do that before you get into the house. You may drive home and sit in the car and
I
have a
do.
moment to yourself.
I've
You
been caught
may
a
do
couple of times by the kids. Like I'm in my car just like leaning on the steering wheel and I look up and they're
that.
like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Don't worry about it. It's fine."
Right? It's this, and I get it. I understand. Like I get off at midnight sometimes
Oh,
because
wow.
just
Yeah.
like the weekends, I'm sitting in the car. I know I got to get my ass into the house, but I need a moment to just let me just recalibrate. Let me just think about some things. Let me just take a deep breath and be like, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for getting me through this day." I need a
Absolutely.
moment, right?
Another
So,
thing I could say is like touch grass. I know that's like such a thing to say, but
mhm,
sometimes you go outside for a second because I think with radio and podcasting, like we're on screens all the time and
sure.
it's great and it's fun, but like you forget how calming being outside is or being by a body of water. Sometimes just going outside for a second is like a calm in and of itself.
Sure, absolutely. No question about that. On here with Nikki Reed of the Smiley Morning Show based out of Indianapolis, 99.5 on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. Nikki, it's that time now that we're going to do this or that, okay?
Okay,
So I'm going to throw two things at you and you choose one or the other. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
All right, here we go, Nikki. Popeyes or KFC?
Popeyes.
We're going to be really good friends, Nikki. I can tell you that right now.
That
gonna be good
spicy chicken
friends.
sandwich is so amazing.
Girl, you ain't never lied. You are speaking the gospel, not the gospel, but the gospel. I love it. I love it. Okay, we off to a great start. Now,
Mhm.
chicken wing flavors: barbecue or lemon pepper.
Barbecue.
Okay. Do you like your wings wet or dry?
Wet.
Do you like them bone in or boneless?
Bone in.
Okay, so you like to get messy, is what
I
you saying.
do. It's not pretty when I'm eating wings. I
That's
don't
okay.
want an audience.
Listen, if somebody's staring at you eating and not eating their wings, what the hell wrong with them? That's just what,
Exactly.
what it is. That's all I got to say about that. So,
Hmm.
okay, I'm with you on that. Here we go. Sport. Indianapolis. Peyton Manning or Tyrese Halliburton.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay, I like
Hmm.
that. I like that. Here we go. These next three are about concerts you rather attend. So here we
Okay.
go. Which concert would you rather go to, Drake or Kendrick Lamar?
Kendrick Lamar.
I love it. Okay, I like that. All right. Which concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see Zach Brown Band or would you rather see Lady A?
Oh, I guess maybe Zach Brown Band.
Okay, okay. All right. Which concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see One Republic or would you rather see Maroon 5?
Ooh, it's tough because One Republic does amazing, like the way they write and the way they build their songs is really talented. Maroon
No
5's
question.
like it's a jam. So I'd say probably Maroon 5, I guess.
Okay, I like that. That gave you a little bit of pause right there, though. I
I
like.
know.
Okay, okay. Here we go. Which sport would you rather play,
Okay.
badminton or bowling?
Badminton.
Are you good at badminton?
I played tennis in high school, so I figure I got to be like kind of good at it. I've never played it, but I feel like maybe.
Okay, so that means you're terrible in bowling.
I am not only terrible in bowling, I hate it. I don't know why, but like having to get up in front of everybody else to like horribly throw a ball that's too heavy for me. I'm like, I don't know why I have to do this. Can I just drink while you guys bowl and hang out?
I love your mentality, Nikki. I really do, and I love the honesty too. I love the honesty. That is awesome. Okay, are you a sweet person? Do you like sweets?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Reason why I asked is I'm going to give out four different categories of sweets. You have to eliminate one that you'll never eat in life again. So here
Okay.
we go.
Okay.
The first one is cookies. That's any cookie. Okay. The
Okay.
second one is cakes. So
Hmm.
any cake. The third one is candy. That's any candy. The last one is ice cream. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
I think cookies.
What the
I
hell?
know.
Did
I
you just say
know.
cookies?
I
Oh.
did. I really love cake. And
I don't
candy's so
ever
broad.
had
There's a lot of
anybody say
candy.
cookies on here. Nobody in the world has ever said cookies. I love it. You know what? You DTBD. You daring to be different. That's what you're
That's
doing.
right.
I love it. I love it. That's totally awesome. Okay. Same format with potato chips. Do you eat potato chips?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Same format. You got to get rid of one of these. First one is Doritos. The second one is Ruffles.
Mm.
The third one is Lay's.
Hmm.
The fourth one is Pringles. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
Pringles. I only like the barbecue ones and I like a lot of other chips. So I feel like they could go.
You know what, Nikki? If we hang out, food can't be involved. We just got.
I know I'm terrible.
You know what? Probably wings. How about that? Just wings
Yes.
involved with us. That's it.
Just wings. If you come to
I love
town, we'll
that.
go to Keystone Sports Review. That's where we'll go.
I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. Here we go. I always ask this question, especially to radio people. Give me your top three favorite interviews, because it had to be some interviews that you've had with guests on here that was like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. Maybe an interview that you thought, this can go well, but went really good. Or maybe an
Mhm.
interview that you thought was going to go really good. And it was like, ooh, that was a rough one. Like,
Yes.
so top three that you would say.
I would say Lizzo is number one. I have never met anyone whose mind is so quick. I mean, it didn't matter what we asked her. She had the best joke for everyone and was so fast about it. And even then, like the interview we did with her, we did it kind of as a collective group. We each asked her a couple questions. And at the time, I was in the process of donating a kidney. And so when I was single too, so I asked her like, what's something that I could say to like a hot male nurse or something like that, like while I'm in the hospital, try and pick him up or whatever. And she was like, and without hesitation, she goes, I just gave away one of my organs. Can I have yours?
Oh,
It
okay,
was
okay.
so fantastic. She was so
Hmm.
fun. Ed Sheeran's a good time too. My co-host Tony and I, we went and interviewed him together, but we were a little sauced. And so we just got super inappropriate with him. And then he thought it was really funny. The interview was so ridiculous. We couldn't air it because we were just giggling like schoolgirls and being dirty. And he just was laughing. It wasn't even really an interview at all. We
It's
were
much
just,
more of a conversation, pretty
it
much,
really
right?
was. Yeah, he
Okay,
was a
okay.
good time. And then the worst one that we've ever had on the show, and I don't know if she was just having a bad day or what. I don't know if you know the actress Marilyn Rice Cub. She is a comedian actress and
Yep.
whatever. And I don't know. She came in and she wouldn't answer any of our questions. And it was a really bad mood. And we were going like, we don't know how to, you're here to sell your show. So we're not quite sure how to like, you're supposed to help sell it to us. We're
Right.
trying to
Help
pull
me
things
help
out of
you,
you.
is what you're saying.
And so it got to the point where Dave, the host of our show, was like, you don't really seem like you want to be here. And she's like, I don't. And he was like, well, then you can go. And she got up and walked out. And that was the end of the interview. And it was very
Wow.
like, we all were like, all right.
Hmm. That's very Birdman like. If you remember the Breakfast Club Birdman interview, you
Yes.
remember that.
Hmm.
That's very Birdman like. Just come in, say what you say, then just leave. Okay.
Yeah. It was
I
weird.
understand. But see, that's the beauty about radio and conversations and interviewing is you just never know how that's going to go. You can't predict that stuff.
Hmm.
Like what you said with Ed Sheeran, you cannot predict great conversation like that, right? It's so good that it's a memorable, lasting moment. But you
Yes.
also can't predict when people are like, okay, maybe it's just not your day. Totally get
Mhm.
that. You have a great day. God bless all the above. So I like that.
Yeah.
But I love asking that question. I really do. If Nikki was not involved in radio, what is a career she would have pursued and why?
Um, Great question. I think sometimes I wonder if I would be good at advertising just as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that I am very passionate about, and a lot of it because it's money, is working in endorsements.
Sure.
That's, when radio we get like a salary, but the real money is if you work it so that you can have, clients that endorse you and pay you money and you do their commercials. And so it's something that I really work hard at because one, I want to do a great job and I believe in what I'm doing, but I love learning about how to attune to each business or client as far as what they want it to sound like while still being myself. And I think sometimes I listen to ad agency commercials and I go like, no human being talks like that. Clearly somebody
Right.
who's never had to read a script wrote that. And so I think I would love the idea of working in advertising and giving a more authentic angle rather than just like for all your car repair needs, like nobody talks like that. So
Not nobody I've ever met. I'm
exactly.
damn certain on that one. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, you did mention it before, and I wanted to touch upon that before I got to this next question theater.
Yeah.
So I've had the privilege of acting in a couple musicals in
Oh
high
wow.
school. Les Miserables was one of them.
Nice.
High School Musical was another one. I'm a huge fan of musicals. Huge fan.
Uh-huh.
I love Rent. Hairspray is probably my favorite.
Hmm.
Although Hamilton is a very, very close. Hamilton is very close. Lin Manuel did his thing with Hamilton. I wanted to ask you, what is some of your favorite either musical or theater plays? Because that's something I would have pursued probably as a profession if I wasn't doing sports reporting.
For sure. Yeah. Um, there is this play that if you ever get a chance, if anyone's ever performing it, you need to go. It's called Psycho Beach Party. And it's a knockoff of like those 50s, 60s, beach blanket bingo, like, where everybody's like dancing like this in
Oh
swimsuits and
wow!
like, oh, oh, like sing or
Okay.
whatever. But it
Okay.
is dark and naughty and ridiculous. And so it just takes that theme and just goes bonkers with it. And I stumbled onto it once, just like, oh, this might be kind of fun. And I saw it and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. So that would be the one for sure.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, because this is a bonus question here, Nikki. Were you a rocker horror movie show kind of person? Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah.
You was that, right? You was that kind of person?
Yes. Recently, well, I guess maybe it's like been a couple years now. Because they when they show it in theaters and stuff, have you ever done where you dress up and you throw the
Yep.
stuff and everything?
Yep.
So they were doing a performance in Indy, and I had a friend of mine who was from Australia and she'd never been. So I like got all the supplies and I was like, this is what you do, and you dress up like the characters, and it's all this crazy stuff. So we get all ready, we show
Hmm.
up, and it is not the movie, it is a play, and we were the only ones dressed up like
Oh
complete
wow.
ridiculous
Oh wow.
fluty maids. And we just were like, I was like, I'm so sorry.
Right. You had to apologize for that one. Like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
But we
Well,
looked
you was
good.
right, and you was different then. You was there to be different for real, right? To be
Uh-huh.
serious. Okay. I asked that question because I've been to many of them. When I was in Atlanta, Georgia, they used to do it like every Friday night or every Saturday. They would flip flop days where at the movie theater they would have the Rocky movie horror show, and I used to love going to that. And people was like, "Why you go to that?" Because I was like, "It's fun as hell." Like, why
Yeah.
would you want to go to it? I mean, and people look at me different because I'm dressing a certain way. Like, it's just something different to do. Like, and I love to do different things and go different places. So I figured since you told me about that Psycho Beast party and then you said how dark it was, I was like, let me
Uh-huh.
ask her if she knows about the Rocky movie horror show. Maybe she might.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm Nikki. I love the vibe. We are vibing right now, girl. Here we go. We got two more questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
Advice. Okay. Advice. As far as you getting advice, what is some advice that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Yes. This is more of a personal one than a career one, but other people's opinion of you is not your business. And so, and in radio, it does matter a little bit because you do care about what your listeners feel. But in real life, it's been something that it's been a hard lesson for me to learn. And I think I'm still learning it, but having to kind of repeat it to myself, like if someone doesn't like you, I think my fear has always been, you know, being in a public role, I feel like I need to be always engaging with people and giving them the best experience. So that's what they have, because someone can have a bad experience with somebody and then go, oh, I know that person, they're a jerk when maybe they were having a bad day, like the Marilyn Rice Cup interview. Maybe she's just having a bad day.
Right.
But so I would extend myself in all these circumstances so that people wouldn't think that I thought I was better than them or I was not nice or that kind of thing. And I had to start to realize I was giving so much that I was exhausted and I needed to. It's okay that you're busy. It's okay to say no. And it doesn't matter if it upsets other people if you're doing it for the right reasons, like if you're taking care of yourself. And so if they want to be mad about it or make an assumption about you because you're taking care of yourself, it's
Right.
not your business.
I like that. I do. I again another bonus question. I do. So here's what I struggled with when I first got into the industry, Nikki.
Mhm.
Was I was the guy that you can always ask to do something and be like, yes, 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 all the time. Didn't matter what it was. And I haven't been in the industry a long time. This is year 5. I
Mhm.
started kind of late because I'm in my 30s now. So
Nice.
my thing is though, what or what time does it feel right for an individual to set boundaries and say no to certain things? When is
Yes.
it a good time to do that? Because when you get involved, you're in prove it mode, and then when you're in prove it mode, it's great to be in there. But what point does it get to where your bosses or the hierarchy starts to lean on you too much? When do you
Mhm.
think it is an okay time for you to kind of be like, okay, sir or ma'am, not this time, maybe next time?
Yes. It's interesting because in the beginning I did the same thing. I said yes to absolutely everything. And I do think it did help me a lot in my career, but I'm also seeing kind of a shift that I think is positive in the younger generations where they're like, look, my time is my money. And so, companies going, everybody's got to stay late and whatever, while they're still drowning in trying to just make ends meet and feeling like they're giving 100% of their personal time to
Sure.
a business that very well may not care enough about them to put the energy back into them. I think what it is do enough, like do as much as you can, but what that limit has got to be something you set. So like, I've got enough energy. Look, if I work on Saturday, but then I have Sunday off or whatever, like I'll take that extra shift. That's fine, but I'll still have some time for me and that will be enough for me. But if you're overextending to the point where you're not living your life, that's too much.
Right.
And in radio for me, a lot of that stuff that I said yes to is fun, like I love emceeing things. I love being asked to speak at stuff or do PowerPoints for elementary schools. Like
Yep.
I like that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
those things are, yes, they're extra and they're not, and I'm doing them for free, but they are something that brings me joy. And then there
Oh,
are times where they say, "Hey, we really need someone to come in and, do this thing." And I think, not today. I can't. But I always think also ask someone younger because they're still in their like super grind mode and they should have that opportunity to be able to do that. So it's kind of like I got to a point where I went, okay, I'm a little older now. I'm a little tired, more tired, but young people deserve those opportunities and I don't need to take that from them. So if they could do it, let them do it.
I love it. I do. I do. Last question here is I need some recs for Indianapolis. I mean, we talked about one bar. I definitely plan on. I just actually saw the other day, now that it came back to my mind, that the Indiana Fever is playing in August. I may come down there for about
Oh,
3
nice.
days in August because they're having a. I love going to career fairs and showing off my resume because you just never know where your next stop will be. So I just want to
100%.
continue to do that. So they're playing in the game. I think it's called the Gamebridge Fieldhouse.
Cambridge Fieldhouse,
Uh,
yeah.
Gamebridge Fieldhouse. So yeah. So I will be down there in August. I need to know some recs. What should I do when I come down there in August?
Yes, there are things. So I would say it's something that's kind of interesting and it's not very well known, but Indianapolis has its own like tiny little version of the canals in Venice.
Okay.
So in the middle of the city where, it means to like you'll see the zoo and Cambridge Fieldhouse and the Children's Museum, that's all downtown. But then there's these couple stairs you go down and it's just this whole canal. Look like that it's, a gorgeous thing to walk. It's kind of small and kind of, not like, but it's something that's really unique and interesting that people stumble upon from out of town a lot of times. So
Sure.
that's always worth seeing. I would say if you're into racing at all, getting a chance to go over to the Motor Speedway, that's an incredible thing. They've got a great museum.
Mm.
Um, and then I would say, what are some other great things to do? I mean, we've got a lot of sports related stuff too. So, if kids come around and maybe you don't, do you have kids?
No. 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 No.
Okay.
No. No.
Then you don't have to worry about that. But there are children's museums really great. They got a lot of great sports stuff for the kids.
Sure. Sure.
And then a lot of like because we have like Lucas Oil Stadium and Cambridge, I know they do tours and stuff like that. And just being able to kind of get down in there and really see how they operate, I think that's a lot of fun.
Okay. I like that. Once again, I'm definitely whenever I do touchdown, which probably will be in August, because I think the Fever play the Sun that particular week, which should be a very good game between those two teams. Well, I should say a very good team in the Sun coming in to play the Fever. That should be an interesting game. So I will be down there. I have to say,
Yeah.
I have to up to you when I get down for sure.
Yes, please do. Absolutely. Can I ask you a question too? Where
Yeah.
in
Come on.
Minnesota are you?
So I'm in Southwest Minnesota.
Okay.
So that's about an hour and a half from Sioux Falls, about 2 hours from Minneapolis.
Okay. I used to go to summer camp in Minnesota at this tiny little town called Orr, Minnesota.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a place I've only been to a couple places in Minnesota, but it is a gorgeous place. I mean, everything is so
Absolutely.
beautiful there.
Especially the summertime. Not so much the wintertime, but the
Yeah.
summertime, it is absolutely beautiful. I absolutely
Mhm.
love it. So, yeah, I'm literally on the edge of both. I'm right in the middle of both of them, which I love. It's a small town here. It's about 11,000 people. So it's not
Wow.
a lot of people here, but it's also great storytelling. People close shops around here when they go to state tournaments and stuff like that. Like, it's
Oh.
really movie based out here to when you cover different things. And I've had a chance to cover section championships, state championships, write all kind of feature stories. So I'm always looking for the next opportunity as well. And I also do some freelance, right? So I also work at ESPN as well, doing production as well.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, so doing different things like that. I love doing stuff like that, and also love talking to wonderful people like you once again. Um, is there anything else, Nikki, that you would like to add before we conclude? This has been a wonderful conversation with you.
Yeah, it really has. Yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know, if you're in Indianapolis, turn on 99.5, and if you listen in the morning, we'll be there.
Absolutely. Is there any kind of guest that's coming up that you want to talk about for the rest of the week that you guys are interviewing?
Not tomorrow. No, we do this thing called the Weekend Blast Off where we at 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. it's just like DJ party music the whole time and throwback songs and stuff like that. So we kind of kick off Friday for our listeners and give them a little bit of a pep to like get through it. But that's every Friday with us.
I love that. Once again, this is Nikki Reed of the Smiley Morning Show based out of Indianapolis, 99.5. Thank you so much for
Thank
hopping
you,
on my
Chris.
Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. I love learning about you. You are absolutely wonderful. And I hope people there in Indianapolis tune in and even come up to you and ask you questions that I might not have asked to inquire more about you. So I hope that you take care and enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Thank you so much. You too. Bye.
Bye.